interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
So everyone not raised on the Jonestown cult has heard of kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of motion, and the kinetic energy depends on the mass of the object and how fast it is moving. The work is a term that describes when a force is exerted on an object over a certain distance. So in this example of us talking about kinetic energy, our body is producing the work, and we're gonna classify our fist as the object because we're trying to the amount of work done is equal to the change in the object's kinetic energy. So we're trying to change the object in this example, which is our fist kinetic energy, and that depends on the amount of work that we can produce with our body. So I know I said we was going to lightly touch on this, but I also got to explain a little bit of physics to kind of simplify this even more. So in the concept of physics, a human body is an object, and when you have an object of two or more, that is a system. The human body is a system within the concept of physics. So when you have a system, you have surroundings, then you have the universe. The universe encompasses all systems and all surroundings. So in this, a human being is a system. We are an energy system. We produce energy, but the energy we produce directly has an impact based off our surroundings. If we are on solid ground, like let's say if you're on sand, you will not be able to produce the same energy as you would if you were on concrete, asphalt, so on and so forth. So the work that you can produce depends on the surroundings that you are on. So you will always need to be on optimal terrain to produce an adequate amount of work to increase your overall potential kinetic energy. So like I said, I'm not going to get much deeper than that, but at a base level, you have to understand that a human being is an object within the concept of physics. We are a system, and we produce work to increase our potential for kinetic energy throughout our fists or throughout any other action that we're trying to produce or gestate motion. We have a direct impact upon based on what our surroundings are, and we progress from there. So let's move on to the KCP principle. Well, the KCP, but you get my point. So the KCP is just a kinetic chain principle, and most times you'll see a diagram such as this. The KCP can be used to improve your balance and stability. By a method of maintaining a base and staying in alignment, you can be more difficult to knock off balance or throw off balance. But it describes human movement as a sequence of links between each of the different body parts. And it also states movement from one part affects all the others in a functional sequence. So as you can see, the diagram shows the legs, trunk, back, shoulder, elbow, and wrist. The only thing I feel like this diagram is missing is the ground, because like we just talked about in regards of physics, we are a system and we need our surroundings. So in this instance, the surroundings will be our ground. You can see these examples across several other sports, but if you're missing anything within that linkage, you'll have a leak in power or a potential for injury. It's useful for assessing human movement. Since acceleration is the aim of most sports, movement should begin from the core and spread in sequence to the more distal limbs. Like I said before, if you don't engage all the parts in sequence, you'll get suboptimal power delivery, or you could have an injury. As you can see in other examples, certain areas act more as stabilizers and certain areas act more as mobile force transmitters. So your feet act as a stabilizer because it roots you to the ground. Your ankles are more mobile so they can transmit the force to your knees, which is another stabilizer. Your hips are mobile. You have your lumbar spine, your thoracic spine, your scapular thoracic, and your glenohumeral joints. It literally just goes stabilizer, mobile, as that force transmits through all those areas. And you can see that in every other sport. Now, this is just an additional reinforcement to those concepts. You just watched several athletes from other sports physically express the concept. So how do you refine it? As well as being able to physically express the principle and intuitively feel it, you have to be able to comprehend and explain it in order to be able to refine the principle. So listen to these elites from other sports.
I want to talk about, and the way I'm going to explain it is in the order that I typically do them during a training session. So the first one is walking stands, and you'll see these are very prevalent. You'll see a lot of elite throwers do these, and there's a reason, because you're trying to transfer momentum as efficiently as possible. Just like in the glide or the spin, you want the movement of your body in the ring to go into the ball that way.
Time on just mechanically getting it as efficient as possible. You know, meeting with Chris S, who's been here, he owns Biometric, just digitally mapping our throwing motions right now and just seeing what we can tighten up on and improve on.
Alan, emphasizing consistency this upcoming season, says that the work he's doing now isn't to completely change his throwing motion, just to refine it.
Miles an hour. I don't care if you throw 120 miles an hour. There's a catcher behind home plate, and that catcher catches that ball every time with a glove. Only thing I did was change the object from glove to a bat, and all I gotta do is catch it.
And where was your sweet spot right here then in this bat?
I was always right here. It's always right in the zone.
Right there in your area?
Right there.
But
I don't like this. I don't like this. I like right here.
Right there. Mm-hmm. That's the barrel right there.
And I practice that every time in the cage. And if those marks are anywhere here, my technique is off.
Right here. Right here, Jim. Push it through it. Let it feel the head go away. See what you're doing when you feel the head? It's vibrating with the blood. Please stretch it out. Let it go down where it's going.
He's just telling me that, you know, gotta have a hard, stiff jab. I gotta throw, a hard, stiff right hand, you know, and I really gotta turn my punches over, you know, and shift into my punches, you know, and that's where the knockouts come, you know, from turning all the way into your shots. So, you know, I'm gonna take his advice, and definitely try to use it in the fight. Cool.
So as an aside, anatomy variances and genetic potential can cause differences in force expression with certain punches, such as limb length, muscle insertions, height, so on and so forth, but you can still refine your maximum expression within your punch form. The drill I've made on this isn't special or revolutionary. It's simple to practice but tedious due to the amount of effort per repetition and the attention to detail to improve form. So even though you have rounds structured here on this drill, that doesn't mean you rush your reps. This is about refining rep to rep. So take your time and deliberately pay attention to yourself each time, each moment, each second during each round. So at the base level, we have 3 variations of the jab we're repping for form and power. Also, you have the remainder of the punch tree. You have 2 different sections of the same punches because your punch form changes based on the range you're in. An uppercut at mid-range is not the same as one on the inside. You want to be powerful and efficient with your punches at every single range, because that's something opponents can make in-fight adjustments for. This is a clip of me doing the drill repping the 1-2 specifically. As you can see, I made mistakes. Each rep isn't perfect, but I verbalize my mistakes and make the adjustments for the next rep. But each rep is still delivered with 100% power and commitment. It's the only way to see where the faults in your form lies. As another aside, if you have a trainer who's available to have them watch you do this drill, do so. So that way, if you're unsure about some of the adjustments you need to make, hearing them outside of yourself can help you build mental reinforcement. But if you seldom have your trainer available, filming yourself doing this drill and reviewing it can also help you, while also making comparisons to whomever you're referencing or comparing your technical form to. Let's talk about traditional or old school heavy bag gloves. You see numerous Hall of Famers who used them in the past. I feel that these gloves help intuitively teach fighters 2 concepts I'll delve deeper into in a moment. As they fell out of common usage, I feel as if the sport as a majority has lost a key component to understanding refining punch form. Traditional trainers might not have used the terms I'm about to use, but I feel that they understood it from a tactile sense and how to teach it to fighters who didn't have the patience to interpret the information at a higher level. The 2 concepts that I feel that traditional bag gloves teach are Wolff's Law and bone stacking. Wolff's Law states that bones adapt to the degree of mechanical loading in a basic sense, such that an increase in loading causes the architecture of the internal spongy bone to strengthen, followed by the strengthening of the cortical layer. The 2 modalities Wolff's Law can be applied are weight-bearing exercises such as walking, running, and jumping. They directly apply load to the bones through ground force reactions, and strength training exercises like free weights, resistance bands, or body weight. These challenge muscle groups that attach to the bone. Muscle contraction transfer force to the bone, providing a different form of mechanical stimulus that complements the weight bearing and maximizes bone adaptations. So hitting a heavy bag with traditional bag, gloves, and wraps is a strength training modality that over time can increase the density of the bones in your hands within a reasonable expectation. This isn't the same as the propaganda spread by certain traditional martial arts training methods that have you hitting inanimate objects with unreasonable amounts of force over an unreasonable time frame that do nothing but guarantee you arthritis, nerve damage, and fused bone. The other concept is called bone stacking. Bone stacking has to do with the line of force. You want your joints stacked one after another in a line or a direct angle so that you aren't compromising strength by deviating your joints. Think of it as an intuitive skeletal alignment. Instead of using muscle to lift or hold weight, you optimize the power of the bone to support your weight better. By using muscle to align the bones, we can find proper alignment to maximize our ability to transmit force more effectively. Now, every fighter or hobbyist at least once in their life has been hitting a heavy bag and had either a lapse in judgment or timing and jammed their wrist. That is an example of poor bone stacking. But also, on the contrary, spending too much time hitting the bag with large bag gloves can allow you to get away with subpar punch form due to not immediately feeling the repercussions of technical errors. Following this clip, let me just show you a few examples of poor bone stacking, followed up by some good examples of bone stacking in live fights, just as an additional visual reinforcement so you know what they look like. So as a final point, by following the principles of Wolff's Law and bone stacking as a byproduct of using traditional bag gloves over a long period of time, you could potentially do something like this occasionally in training. And I'll keep the sound in for extra emphasis. So by getting a better understanding of kinetic energy, you can better physically express power. And as you developed an improved ability to mentally comprehend these concepts, you can then further refine them with basic repetitions for maximum effort and efficiency. Then, if desired, you can further implement traditional training methods to undertake the physical adaptations necessary in order to express these principles with minimal physical limitations. Boxing is a science and should be interpreted and trained as such.